So, welcome in everybody as we get ready to go on Facebook Live. See how all this stuff works. That funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live on IA Newswire, broadcasting on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. I think we're hitting on that. Good thing we are, because I was monkey motioning with the stuff all this weekend, and then the old all the Facebooks and all that decided to give me a big headache and tell me this and throw me off. But luckily, Jesse came in today and straightened it all out, so we are actually able to broadcast on this. And of course, as you put on there, it's a Manic Monday going on, and there's never a shortage of stories coming on the old blower on that. Of course, we got coronavirus news. We got some updates on the Holtville thing, which we'll be getting to later. Lots of states opening up. Newsom recall update coming soon, and I think it's probably a little more optimistic than they're peeling out. But remember, there's a state of the state, California tomorrow, and I think there might be a little announcement of a big number coming on top of that, coming across the board for that. Dr. Kelly Victory will be on at the bottom of the hour as we do that, and looking for the big story of the day that I'm trying to find. Here it is. If we can get rid of the ads on the thing. We all know about the Holtville situation, where the 44 illegal migrants were coming over from Mexico through a hole in the fence right by the Calexico border in two separate vehicles. One Suburban had 19 on board. It caught fire. There didn't seem to be any injuries or nothing major from that. But then there was the one just down the street with the Ford Expedition that got hit by the belly dump 18-wheeler that took the lives of 13 people, ranging from 15 to 46. And it just broke a couple of hours ago, so I know a lot of you probably haven't heard this. This is in the dailymail.com exclusive. Migrants killed in SUV crash near Mexico border paid up to $10,000 each to be smuggled into the U.S., and survivors ranging in age from 15 to 46 will likely be deported once they recover from their injuries. Anywhere, minimum was $5,000, maximum was $10,000. So that little foray of 25 stuffed in that Ford Expedition at a minimum was $125,000, at a maximum $250,000. So it said they were in that range. So somewhere between $125,000 and $250,000 was what those people paid to be crammed in like sardine cans in that SUV. It's absolutely incredulous of what's going on here. This is all as a direct result of the election of Joe Biden for president. And we're going to go through the Daily Mail article a little bit more in this. But when Trump was there, 46 kids a day were being captured by the Border Patrol. Now it's over 300. That's underage kids, under 18. That's just how much that has exploded. When you look at what's going on, and what they're talking like back to 1 million streaming across the border. Going to read a little more quote from the UK dailymail.com article. Border Patrol believed that the crossing, the first large vehicle breach in the El Centro sector in 2021, was organized by a network of criminal gangs who charged desperate migrants thousands of dollars to make the crossing in specially modified cars. The people killed in the crash were among the increasing numbers of migrants attempting to cross over in the U.S. border in the recent months. Border Patrol figures for the El Centro sector where the crash occurred show that 13,787 people attempted to cross into the U.S. illegally in January alone, a 100% increase from 2020 when just 6,429 attempts were made. Border Patrol say the Biden administration's relaxation of President Trump's hardline immigration policies have encouraged more people to attempt the journey. That is from the guys who are sitting at the border, protecting us, protecting the immigrants from a fate like this. Give me number 4, please. There's a memorial at the intersection where the 13 lost their lives in the accident. As we go through that. And it's right there. The Border Patrol is sitting there doing that, and we're looking back and forth. They're saying this is a direct result from the Joe Biden administration's policy of opening up the border. Oh, no deportations. We can't have this. Oh, we're not. No, Joe Biden. As we're doing that, give me number 4, please. The guy that cannot hardly keep his eyes open, as you see in the picture there in the Daily Mail. Joe Biden and everyone that voted for him is complicit accessories into what's going on right now. It's a cold, hard fact. You can deny it, but that's what is going on in this area. There is no other way to look at this, because give me number 4 here quick, please. Governor Abbott deploys Texas National Guard, the state troopers, to counter Biden's open border policies. This is on Breitbart. You're seeing the pictures of the Texas Highway Patrol boat going on. Texas Governor Greg Abbott announced the deployment of the state's National Guard and state troopers to respond to the growing border crisis. The Governor Abbott announced Operation Lone Star to combat the smuggling of people and drugs into Texas on Saturday. The operation will integrate the Texas Department of Public Safety with the National Guard, Abbott said. He's ordering the deployment on the air, ground, marine, and tactical border security assets to high-threat areas. The crisis at our borders continues to escalate because of the Biden administration's policies that refuse to secure the border and invite illegal immigration, the governor said in a written statement the Saturday evening. Texas supports legal immigration, but will not be an accomplice to the open borders that cause abuse rather than prevent a humanitarian crisis in our state, endanger the lives of Texans. We will surge the resources and law enforcement personnel needed to confront this crisis. Oh, we have a caller on the line. I bet they got a comment on this, but here we go. Who we got?
Hey, it's Dwayne Roy. How you doing?
Absolutely fantastic.
So, we were told as kids not to feed stray animals because they would come back, right?
Yes, sir.
So there is a direct correlation between America First, Donald Trump style government, where we saw illegal immigration go down to its lowest since Reagan. And then the second Biden even looks like he's going to win, the caravans start all over again, because they know that once these people get into office, it's going to be an open door policy. And these people, unfortunately, are exploited. They are essentially the new slaves coming to our country.
Thank you.
The Democrats lie to them and tell them that they're going to give them everything, and then they exploit them. And they don't even realize it because they're coming here for, we understand, for better conditions. I've got all that. We've heard that for a million years.
I want to stop you there because I don't blame the immigrants, and most of them are not coming from Mexico. They're coming from South America, Guatemala, Honduras, and all that. And even
Venezuela.
Yeah, Venezuela. I don't blame them. I mean, if I was there,
No.
I would help I had enough gumption to get the hell out of that area anyway. But again, and you made the point, and I've said this many times, the 20th century slaves are the immigrants that have come over illegally, that have been made to work. Once they get here, they're made to work under substandard conditions. The girls are turned into sex slaves, hookers, who knows what. The cartels are running this. $125,000 to $250,000 was the price that was on that expedition to get into this country. That's what the tragedy is. And if those who voted for Biden or the woke ones or the Black Lives Matter, if they had one scintilla of compassion in their heart, they would not have voted for it. And even now, they would be begging to put the Trump administration policies, demanding Joe Biden put the policies of Trump administration's border patrol, border security measures, which were working. The Biden administration just admitted the policies of his were working. One of the spokesmen were on there today. I didn't have time to get the clip. She admitted Trump's immigration policies were working, and they pulled them off. And then we have this kind of tragedy, and this is only going to be the first of many if they don't knock it off.
Right, and there is a vested interest in attempting to propagate what went on before Donald Trump and what they want to have again, because what they want is chaos. They do not want you, I, or anybody else discussing what went on in the past election, what is going on in our government. What they want to do is incite a race war, and that's exactly where this is going, because what happens when, look, we're in this hoax COVID movement where you're not allowed to go anywhere or do anything. And a couple of states, Texas being one of them, has decided to pull their head out of their rear end and say, enough. Great. We're moving forward now. But what did that achieve? It got everybody locked down. It put everybody back on poverty wages. And so what's going to happen? Instead of the prosperity that we had with Donald Trump, where people were actually saving up for vacations and airline travel was up to its all-time high and people were going places and doing, now they don't have a job anymore because most of the restaurants, especially in the East Coast, were closed. So where do they go? And now they're looking at these people coming across the border that are going to take these jobs for less money than they can afford to take them. They're going to move in, and as we both said, this is the new slave race. They're going to be exploited. They're going to be working sweat factories, sweatshops, And they've lied to us and say, well, these are jobs that Americans won't do. Well, you're damn right. That's what happened. That's why we had unions form in this country in the 20s and 30s, because of the working conditions that they want these people coming up here to work in. Well, no kidding. And these are the people, isn't it ironic that the unions always vote lockstep with these, Democrats? And they say, oh, no, you've got to vote for Democrat. We're going to use your dues, your labor union dues, to fill the coffers of the Democrat running for the local seat, because they're the best. They're going to watch out for labor. Well, nobody was better for labor in your and I's lifetime than Donald Trump. It's a fact. You cannot deny the statistics that came out of the Trump era when you saw unbridled capitalism actually lift the tide and all boats rose.
Talk about
talk about
racism, and I want to get to this because this was the other subject that I had. I said I was going to put an update on this. United Teachers of Los Angeles, about 37,000 teachers. They have more teachers than kids in the Moreno Valley Unified School District. I think the second or third largest school district in Riverside County. They only got 34,000 students. The United Teachers of Los Angeles has 37,000 teachers. Second biggest school district in the United States, next to one in New York. The United Teachers of Los Angeles were voting, and they said they were going to vote whether to reopen schools because they had the vote open all week, so every one of them had plenty of time to vote, in their system. These are teachers, 37,000 of them. They're absolutely incredulous of what's going on. We're going to say, well, we're going to play and see where teachers stand in this. And where we're at is 91% of those who voted to keep the schools closed in LA Unified School District. Only 9%, or about 25,000, voted to keep the schools closed. 9%, about 2,500, voted not to open the schools. About 10,000 of them didn't vote. And as I brought out many times in this, tacit agreement. If you don't vote, or you don't make your voice heard, or you don't disagree, you're agreeing with the majority. So really, you had about 35,000 vote to keep the schools closed. 2,500 did the teachers go. Here's a short clip of that racist Cicely Myert Cruz, president of LA Teachers. Here we go.
Of the huge Facebook community, parents supporting teachers. First up are the results of our union-wide UTLA member vote. Voting was conducted over 5 days by an outside company, Integrity Voting Systems, and closed at 5 p.m. tonight. Out of 24,580 ballots cast, 91% were yes, and 9% were no. That's powerful. UTLA members have voted overwhelmingly to resist a premature and unsafe physical return to school sites. Today's result is a testament to our 3 demands for a safe and healthy return.
So there you go. And she said it.
Unbelievable.
That is she said it. It's a powerful statement. And it is. And you're seeing of what kind of, I've said it, $200 million. California Teachers Association, National Education Association, locals, whatever, $200 million they have put into political campaigns in the past 10 years in California and far outdwarfing, making the packs that the woke crowd rails about all the time, makes them look like pikers compared to teachers. And this is why I've said I've refrained from using, slap me in the side of the head if I use the word never. Because I didn't think I would find a more annoying voice than Hillary Clinton. Until I heard the voice of Cicely Myert Cruz, UTLA president of the second biggest school district, representing 37,000 K through 12 teachers in Cal. What do you say to him?
I can only think of one more annoying voice than that, but they're almost neck and neck, and that would be Hillary.
That's what I thought I would never. I mean, I'm thinking there's never going to be a voice more annoying than when Hillary starts screeching. But I mean, Hillary can talk normally. This woman talks like in that shrill.
Yes.
I'm a bitch. Yes. You're going to obey me no matter what. And if I say it, it's right, even if I'm wrong or not or whatever. You are going to obey. And she does that at least. Hillary has moments where she backs off of it and sounds like a normal person. In fact, the last interview she did, she actually sounded like a normal person or made some coherent thoughts without this. This woman is like, I mean, you can go watch the whole 22-minute video or all the other ones. She sounds like this all the time. At least she's in the recorded realm.
Well, it's a learned teacher trait. This is what your educational system is turning out for educators. It is shrill, shrieking shrews who have talking points. Now, here's another interesting dichotomy what we have to bring up. In their vociferous comments to remain paid non-working employees, what is happening to the education system? More people are homeschooling, which is going to have a negative effect on all of this leftist agenda stuff. It's the law of unintended consequences. And we hope that the one good thing that comes out of this fakery is that we are actually going to be opening the eyes of some youngsters to understand that they're being lied to. Now, second of all, a quick comment back on the border, and I won't go any further, but isn't it interesting that we have to be masked up, COVID tested, and vaccinated to even go anywhere, even to the grocery store today, yet tens of thousands of people can come up here untested, unmasked, and unvaccinated?
It is, and Cicely Myert Cruz on the same thing, the racist stuff. We had her on tape on the UTLA on the same update a couple of weeks ago, where she said it's rich white privilege and Middle Eastern parents that are running the whole open the schools, yada yada yada. And then we had the obligatory, I think it was Bill Malushin of Fox 11. And another report on there, and I think that they might have been both his, of that where she went out there first. She got parents in South Central LA, said they're full of crap. We actually want our kids to be educated. And then the college teacher who had a 7th grader in UTLA and got the racial profiling deal because he couldn't figure out what Middle Eastern name she was, but she was quoted in the LA Times a couple times about wanting the schools opened up, and UTLA is out doing what they denied, but what very much looks like opposition research on parents in the school district who disagree with them that want the teachers, the 91, I'm going to say 93 or 4%, when you figure the 10,000 that didn't vote, agreeing, if you're not agreeing with us, we're not only going to not disagree with you, we're going to hunt you down.
Well, that's because they see this as an all or nothing. To them, it is not about making sense or logical conclusion. What it is about is using this forum and what they perceive as momentum to shouting people down that do not agree with them and eliminating any opposition whatsoever. They are not in the field of ideas or common discourse, as we once used to call it. They are merely into groupthink, and anybody that's not on board with groupthink, they label them a racist, homophobe, bigot, whatever, because they don't have any ideas. It's an old tactic. What it does is it's designed to have you attempt to defend yourself and your position because of the color of your skin. And if that's not racism, I don't know what is. And I'm not going to defend the fact that I am white. I was born this way. I didn't get to check a box on entry into this world on what race I wanted to be, or even if I wanted to be born. I'm here, and I am going to exist in the realm that I was given. These are the cards I was dealt. These are the cards I will play. But nobody gets to make that determination about me other than myself. You don't get to, just because you simply disagree with my ideas or my perception, come off and attempt to label me as something that's not accurate. And I believe that they do this all the time, because you're seeing this more and more often, that they just simply, whenever there's opposition to whatever ludicrous, precept they want to run, they merely fall over on this, well, that's racist. Well, if you're a climate denier, you're a racist. Does the climate have anything to do with the race of anybody on this planet? No, it's the big orange ball in the sky. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. Telling people to mask up or not mask up has nothing to do with what race you are. But they want to make it all about that because they cannot, under any circumstances, come up with a logical retort to anything. They just simply fall back on the Saul Alinsky rules for radicals diatribe, and it's been working. I can tell you that society is breaking down. When you have people, and I'm going to tell you, I have firsthand knowledge of this. I intimately know somebody who is a boss at work and cannot get people to work because they refuse to work. First of all, you cannot get anybody to work 40 hours anymore. That's considered a hostile work environment. And if you actually ask them to do the job task they were assigned, they have a complete meltdown. They want to come to work, do what they want to do when they want to do it, and get paid more for it, and you're supposed to like this and have your business model function around this. Now, you and I did not grow up this way. If you want something, you have to work for it. You don't get handed you don't get handed more for less. Roy doesn't wake up in the middle of the morning and say, I'm going to stroll over there about 4:59 and we'll see what happens, and, the show will just develop.
Yeah, pretty much that way. And and I wanted to do this, and we only got a couple minutes left. I wanted to get this one in. Another governor, and he took a lot of heat, but he's starting to maybe see the light. Maybe he doesn't want, I don't know if they got a recall provision in Arizona, but Arizona's businesses, restaurants can open at 100% occupancy. Governor Ducey orders in that. So there's another state that's starting to tear down the walls on opening up. I think there's going to be more to deal. Governor Gav Newsom is on that. We're going to give you an update on that. Just a program reminder, we're going to have a new guest on tomorrow, a longtime talk show host, former talk show host, or used to be, but now editorial writer here in SoCal. Doug McIntyre will be our guest tomorrow at 5:30. We'll have Kelly Victory coming up on that. We're just about out of time, so I'm going to have to let you go, Dwayne, on that, but thanks for calling in.
Okay, buddy. You take care, and we'll talk soon.
You got it. We'll be joining KMET on that, and a aforementioned Kelly Victory will be on after the bottom of the hour to give you the COVID update on all things like that. And as I said, Doug McIntyre will be on tomorrow at 5:35 on that to preview his latest columns coming up, which has a lot to do with some of the stuff we're talking about today and some of the culture on that to get a different, unique perspective as we bring you the guests nobody else does on this show. Or maybe not nobody else does, but the cornucopia of ones that we do. Again, you're getting a lot more news, I think, off this show than you are, and off iNewsWire and outlets like that, than you are off the dominant media spoon-fed. Why do we have to? Why is the border? One quick question that you comment on this. Why is it the UK Mail in England, for ones breaking the story on the? Do you get in there and get the details of what's going on the border? That it was 5,000 to 10,000 per occupant was charged for those that lost their lives and the ones that didn't. The 25 that were in the accident in Holtville,
30
California.
seconds.
I mean, it's the U.S. media reporting that story and the implications of it the way they did, laying it strictly on Joe Biden as being responsible.
Here we go, guys. 10 seconds. .com.
OEM Supply King. We got it!
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio stations.
Slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire on that aforementioned AM band. Joining our vast video audience on IE Newswire on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We profiled and that's let's use the word profiled. We profiled the story at the beginning, and it was just breaking today about 2 o'clock, I think, in the UK Daily Mail, which, as we said, why is the UK Daily Mail, based in Britain, breaking the story that the ones that lost their lives and the ones that didn't, the whole 25, the 13 that lost their lives and the 12 that didn't, and the 19 in the other SUV that caught fire, the total of 44, were being charged $5,000 to $10,000 a piece to be smuggled across the border. The cartels are running this show. And this is what, now it's starting to come out. And as the UK Mail article said, and the Border Patrol's reiterated, it is the Joe Biden policies that are making this happen. The reason this stuff is happening, it will continue to happen as long as we keep these policies in check, because they weren't happening under the Trump administration. We look for each and every day of how this goes. And it's a tragedy. We had the vote. We said we would bring it to you. UTLA voted, United Teachers of Los Angeles voted 91% no to 9% yes to get open up schools. But as we usually do once a week, we have, as I have said, the premier physician in all the world and supreme expert in COVID-19 of that, because we've had her on, well, we're coming up on, she's been on more than that, or talking about it before that, but we're coming up on the 365-day anniversary here pretty quickly when Gavin Newsom put the first lockdown orders on March 18th, 2020. But she has not, in my view, or been wrong one time, misstated a fact, or her analysis has been as... I don't know how you can keep a record like this, Dr. Kelly Victory, but I'm glad you're on our show keeping our viewers informed. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy, Dr. Kelly Victory.
Hey, Roy. Thanks for having me. That's a high bar to keep.
Yes, it
yeah,
is.
This is in fact a really sort of a milestone week, because you are right. This is week 52. At the end of this week, we will have been 1 full year, 52 weeks of 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Not just, unfortunately, in California, but really in much of the country. It's just that California is lagging in trying to get things back on the rails and get things back open, and that's a shame.
I wanted to play this short little clip because you're hearing cases are going down, it's because of the vaccine. Well, there was a Fauci was on it. Oh, somebody else, the CDC director, Walensky or whatever the heck her name is. But it come to the end of the question part. So I just want to play this short little clip of the. And I got to give it to the reporters now. Some of the dominant media reporters are actually starting to ask some questions. But here we go.
The background cases of the virus in the community is the fact that not enough people are vaccinated just yet to get there. And then could you just provide potentially a step of sort of what the next set of guidance is going to be and what the triggers would be for for people who are fully vaccinated being advised to be able to remove their masks in public and go about a somewhat normal life?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think it's important to realize as we're working through this that still over 90% of the population is not yet vaccinated.
Okay, there you've got it. 90% of the population has vaccination this vaccines that have been out and are coming out or in out, or we getting shots in arms or that. If 90% of the population has not been vaccinated, how could the vaccine be anywhere close to be turning this curve down, and all of a sudden COVID cases and deaths and everything are dropping like a rock, Dr. Kelly Victory?
No, you are exactly right, Roy. And let's be very clear. I will always give credit where credit is due. But the precipitous drop in cases of COVID-19, in hospitalizations, and in deaths far predated anything that could possibly be attributed to a, quote, vaccine impact or a vaccine effect. So we were already seeing that at the very, very beginning of the year before 0.01% of the population was vaccinated, let alone 10%. So the fall off in cases, hospitalizations, and deaths far preceded the vaccine issue. What we are seeing now is, an ongoing fall in numbers, and it remains to be seen what effect we will see, if any, from the vaccinations.
Flip up number 4, please. This is in the San Diego Union Tribune, if you look at it. Daily hospitalizations. November, when we were doing this and all that, we're way down here at almost 400. At Thanksgiving Day on the 25th, we're at 500 hospitalizations in San Diego County. It peaks in January 14th at 1,787. It's back down to 351 on that. Right there, that's telling me, at least, that this whole it was ramping up. It ramped up like probably most of these things do. It really had to me, these stats show they really had nothing to do with people gathering at Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's or whatever else. This was just the normal cycle, and probably, my opinion, I'm no expert on this, evidence. Again, we're being fed a bill of goods, because when you look at the real world data that we can look at now, there is no way that they could say the vaccine had anything to do with that, because it's just barely having an effect. And not only in California, San Diego County, but most everywhere else, these cases are going back down like that, like every other normal cycle these viruses or flus or anything else do, Dr. Kelly.
No, that's exactly right. And so if you look at most people, other than the handful of people who were politicians or people on the front lines at the CDC or who were leading the curve in terms of when they got vaccinated, the average Americans who were able to get hold of a vaccine, the earliest was at the very end of January. Most people the first week of February. So by the time they got their second vaccine, it really was towards the end of February. And so, we are only, into the very first part part of March, you aren't seeing a vaccine effect here in terms of that's not what's impacting the numbers at all. All of that said, I was more interested in her really Zelensky's stunning responses to the questions regarding now that we're vaccinated, or the people who are vaccinated, can they return to travel? Can they return to going out in public without masks and without social distancing? And the response to those questions, I think, was absolutely ridiculous. Essentially, although she gives an incredibly long-winded answer to the questions that the reporters asked, the bottom line is they're saying you essentially can't do anything any different than you did before you were vaccinated.
That's exactly right. That's why, I mean, I was more stunned by the 90% than that, because I figured they were going to give you the gobbledygook, answer that they did. Like you say, yeah, when is you can do this and you can't do that? I mean, it was making my head spin trying to figure out all the little purple dots and red stars and whatever, and you can do this, and if you've been vaccinated, you can't go here, and da-da-da-da. I mean, again, when you back it up, that's why I backed it up on this, and then her saying 90% of the population has not been vaccinated, but if you get this vaccine, well, potentially you're going to, what they're really telling you, in my view, and if you back up the evidence, is this thing's never going to end. They're going to lock us down, keep us controlled for as long as we will tolerate it. Dr. Kelly.
Well, I think that's right. It's exactly as long as people will put up with it. And what I keep asking people to look at, and again, you know me, Roy, I'm certainly not an anti-vaxxer, and I certainly am not some conspiracy theorist or a virus denier or anything of that sort. I simply have been imploring people from the beginning of this pandemic to look logically at what we have done in the past. This is not the first virus that's come along. It's not the first pandemic that's come along. And when we look at how we've responded in the past, it is completely different than this one. And so when people, look at me and say, well, obviously you get vaccinated, but you might still be carrying the virus, you might still be able to spread it. And I think, really? Why would you think that? Do you think that even though you were vaccinated for chickenpox, that you might actually be out there spreading it to other people? Do you think that you might be an asymptomatic spreader of polio? An asymptomatic spreader of chickenpox? Of course you don't, because we've never thought about disease in that way. No vaccine is 100% effective. We know that. We know that there is some small percentage of the population who can get vaccinated yet still contract an illness. Yet we have never, in the history of medicine, in the history of mankind, we have never said to people, once you are vaccinated for something, you still, number one, could get this and still be spreading it to others, and therefore you need to hide in the basement, wear a mask, and socially distance, and act as if the rest of the world is a huge threat to you. So it's the way that we are responding to this outbreak that is it is so inconsistent, Roy, with the way we've responded to every other infectious disease, that you really must be, you must ask why. You must ask what the heck is going on and what is the plan here.
It is, and just one more thing that I wanted to put up number 4, please, in the San Diego Union Tribune. Cumulative hospitalizations. Coming back from April, boom, and man, you see the curve going up on the chart from November. Like ICUs are almost on a steady rise, and mind you, once a hospitalization is counted in cumulative deals, they never come off, so that number is never going to go down. But it seems like in this last round, since younger people were getting the more susceptible to getting it, and they require less hospitalizations and even less ICU visits, there was no panic. There was no overwhelming of the hospital system, as the chart showing that everything else. There was of that when they put these second lockdown orders of Gavin Newsom and everybody else. There was no Gavin Newsom here has got his claws locked into us, and still, only because of the recall is he finally trying to slowly just peel back a little bit of his draconian lockdown measures, Dr. Kelly.
Well, the other thing I will tell you, Roy, about, and this is the side you don't hear from anyone in the mainstream media, or frankly, even the public health officials out there, with regard to variants. Part of the reason that hospitalizations, ICU admissions, and deaths are falling, despite the fact that the number of, quote, cases of COVID-19 continues, is that the new variants, regardless of how much fear has been instilled in people about them, weaker. They become less capable of causing severe disease. Even if they're more, quote, contagious, meaning they can spread faster, they become less and less like a severe disease. So although you are seeing COVID spread, you are, as you said, seeing fewer hospitalizations, fewer deaths, fewer ICU admissions, because the strains, regardless, as I said, of the amount of fear they would like to instill in the public, are weaker.
Yes, but you wouldn't know that talking to Dr. Anthony Fauci, who's, we don't know what's going to happen with this, with the Mongolian variant that's coming around, or the, pink with purple polka dots one that's we think we might have found somewhere breaking out that's going to, we don't know. And again, but if people don't listen to shows like ours and hear Dr. Kelly Victory, well, yeah, I could see why they're scared to death or nervous or think they got to put on 3 masks, as a prerequisite to going outside to take out the trash.
Well, if I had an opportunity to speak with Fauci, when every time he says that, we don't know what's going to happen with these variants, I'd say, for the love of God, why hundreds of years of data on every other virus that has ever come down the pike? All viruses mutate, every one, and they all become weaker as they do. It's frankly a survival mechanism for the virus. The virus doesn't want to become more lethal if it had a conscience, because if it did that and it started wiping out any, it wouldn't be able to survive. The way viruses survive is frankly by becoming weaker, by becoming more contagious, but by killing fewer and fewer of the hosts. That's how they stick around. It's a survival mechanism. So for Anthony Fauci to say we don't know what's going to happen with these variants, I think, well, you'd have to look at all of the data we've ever known about virology and epidemiology. And this is the problem with having people who live in an ivory tower, who don't actually practice medicine, who haven't put a stethoscope in their ears. For Anthony Fauci, it's been 53 years, more than half a century since Dr. Fauci has seen a patient. That's a problem, because although he may be a very smart man and he may have gone to some good schools, he is so far out of touch with the actual practice of medicine and what happens in virology and epidemiology that he is no longer a credible source for information.
Yeah, I mean, and even to wrap it around, I've said it before, but this is what I say is a failure across our public education system. I learned exactly what Dr. Kelly's talking about in grade school about viruses and stuff, and that's what I learned. Yeah, you need the virus needs you. Y'all need this to survive. You can't kill them off 100% because you won't be around anymore. You won't have any immunity to anything. And this is what drives me nuts. And Anthony, better than anybody, I mean, he's made his whole life work studying this. And for him to put out misinformation like this is beyond criminal in my view, Dr. Kelly.
Yeah, and so when I agree with you, and I think that the problem is they are trying very, very hard to motivate to get the vaccine. And although, as you well know, I am not anti-vaccine, I do this particular vaccine, Roy, because it is highly experimental. None of the vaccines on the market are FDA approved. They are all being used experimentally, and unfortunately, there are huge groups of people on whom they have not been tested. And whether people understand it or not, when you go to get this vaccine, and I respect people's decisions. If they make a conscientious decision that they think they would benefit from it, or that they are at significant risk if they don't get the vaccine, they should know you are a test subject. You are a test subject in an ongoing trial for vaccines. So if you didn't intend to sign up for that, you might want to think twice. Again, I have no problem with people coming to the conclusion that they may be in an extraordinarily high risk category. Maybe you're 75 years old. Maybe you have obesity or diabetes or heart disease, or have some reason to believe that should you contract COVID-19, you would be in real trouble. And therefore have made the decision that the risk is worth it for you. I respect that fully. But I think people should go into it eyes wide open, because if you are not in one of those categories and didn't plan to sign up as a test subject, and wait before you roll up your sleeve.
And again, the way things are going, if those numbers are accurate, that the CDC direct people have not gotten a vaccination, then we have the example of California and Florida opened up, not opened up. Florida's less likely or better on the statistics, if you want to say it that way, than California, with two completely different approaches to it, and on and on and on we've had. So again, I don't know what it in the science medical field, in the interest of public health and safety, it makes absolutely no sense in what we have done. It only makes sense if they're out to control us.
Yeah, and I heard an interesting thing that Anthony Fauci made the comment that he thought that children, kids under the age of 12, would likely be getting vaccinated before the end of 2021. And I think that's, if nothing else, perhaps an irresponsible statement to make, given that none of the vaccines are even approved, even under their emergency use authorization. They aren't approved to be given to children at all. So I think we are following some really bad guidance right now. I think people would do well to step back and look at the hundreds of years of history that we have with other viruses. Think about what we've done to come out of other epidemics, whether it's of influenza, plain old influenza, H1N1, swine flus, different avian flus. We have a lot of experience, and we have never acted in the way that we are now. And we would do well to look at the tremendous ill effects that things like lockdowns, school closures, mask mandates, all of those things are having on the entire population, because those things are doing far, far, far more harm than the virus itself is doing.
Couldn't agree with that statement more. Thanks, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Well, it was announced today, I think, that including L.A. County, Riverside County, that are going to drop from the purple to the red tier. Oh, big, we're supposed to go a big whoopee of that. But, again, Newsom's changing the criteria, and it's because of this. This little petition, recall that. We've got a week. This is the final push. 1.9 million 50,000 is, and I think they're going to come out with an announcement tomorrow with probably a magic number, because tomorrow, I believe, is the State of the State address by Gavin Newsom in California. So I think there might be a big announcement coming out with signatures on that. But we really need, at 2 million, we need about 1.5 approximately good signatures, valid signatures of registered voters in the state. At 2 million, we're at 25% over, which means at a 75% rate, we're good. That they're turning in right now, it's at 81%. They're coming up with a good. At 2.1, a little over 2.1 million, we're at 70%. That's the threshold. We only have to have 70% good. I'm hoping, if there is, in the last week here, this is the final push. If you haven't downloaded the petition, or you know somebody that hasn't signed it, download them. Keep them with you. Keep a pen in hand, clipboard if necessary. Go around, get the last ones, and get them in. Get them either sent in. You can go to www.recallgavin2020.com to download the petition. If you don't want to send it in, you can look up in per county to find a person, give them a call. They will come get them, tell you where to turn them in locally that they can get them, because we're down to the final week push to get these signatures in. Get them signed, stamped. We want to have 2.1 million, so there's no question, no funny business, and the recall of Gavin Newsom is on. Because if that recall petition wasn't out there being circulated and up to 1,950,000, you would not be seeing Gavin Newsom changing the criteria from putting them off. Okay, UTLA, you want to say that you got to be out of the purple tier to be in that? Well, we'll just change. When the rules don't fit, change the rules. The number one law of tyrants and dictators. And that's what Gavin Newsom is doing. To control you, he come out with these qualifications. When it looks like his butt is on the line, he's going to be the one to take you out, change the rules as he sees fit. So, we got the marching orders. We'll be back. As we said, Doug McIntyre will be our guest tomorrow, hopefully at 5:35. I think you'll enjoy that. But in 23 hours, be right back here. Until then, see ya.